Now, before I share my experience with you, I want to share with you an experience I had that is related to this out of body experience. This goes back many, many years ago. I forget, this was like quite a few years back, and I was having, I was cashing out, counting my money and getting ready to go home. And then all of a sudden, I could see from a distance a dancer uh, who was deep in thought. She was looking, like she was deep in thought, and she looked really sad. So the thing is that I went up to her. I will call her Autumn. I'm not gonna say her real name. So I went up to Autumn, and I asked her. I go, "How's everything? Are you okay?" And then she looked at me and she said, "What is the meaning of life? Why are we here?" That statement kind of took me back a little, because I'm thinking, I thought that to myself when I was 18. I asked myself that very question. Why am I here? What is my purpose? We started talking, she was telling me about how she didn't want to be doing the the dancing anymore. She didn't want to be in that industry anymore. It was just kind of too much for her, and she wanted some sense of purpose to her life. I asked her if she had a free moment, if I could share my experiences, because I asked myself that very question as well. I was here opening up to her, and I told her about all my experiences, about losing my faith, and just turning away from God, and then just not wanting to be here anymore. It was very deep conversation, because I was opening up and she was opening up about, like where she was at. I finished sharing my experience. We spent at least a good 30 minutes talking. And then she says to me, Autumn says to me, "Thank you, Juan." I just want to say thank you for sharing your experiences with me. And that meant a lot. She ended up getting out of the industry. But then after I sort of lost, how do I say it, track, I think it was a few months later, I think it was a year later, that I got the news that Autumn ended up passing away. Autumn ended up committing suicide. Yeah. And I was just stunned when I heard that news, because I'm thinking, I had that playback in my mind, the conversation that we were having. I'm like thinking, no, I was sad, and I was stunned. I was just speechless. I was just, for 5 minutes, I was like, I didn't even move. And I'm thinking, no, man. I go, you know what, I yeah, I was speechless. I ended up going to the wake, and this is where the out of body experience comes in. Now, like I said, this one's a very touchy subject, because of the way she passed away. It was the anniversary of her passing. Out of respect, I lit a candle. I prayed for her. I lay down on my bed, and the thing is that I had that candle still lit. And then all of a sudden, that's when I started to feel the vibrations on my body, and my hands, my feet, my torso, and everything. That's when I started seeing the streams of white light, and I could feel myself leaving my body, but then all of a sudden I couldn't leave my body. It was as if I was having an out of body experience in my body. So technically I was not out of body, but I was still in body. And I could see my entire room, the candle burning, and this was a different experience, if you will, from the previous one. And I couldn't get out of my body. And then all of a sudden, in my room, I could sense another presence in my room. And I got scared, because I couldn't get out of my body. It was like I was stuck in my body. So all of a sudden, I felt this presence come closer and closer and approaching me and my physical body. I got, like I said, I got scared because I knew who it was. I knew the presence of who it was. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden, I hear the voice of Autumn. And she says to me, Juan, don't be afraid. This out-of-body experience that I had was a doozy. You know, that this one was just different from all the rest, I think. So the thing is that she said, don't be afraid. And then all of a sudden I could feel somebody, I could feel Autumn's hand grab my hand and help me out of my body. She's leading me up, like, from my body, up the stairs, and then we are sitting down talking. I know how that must sound. It sounds kind of odd. But the thing is that we were having a conversation, and she says to me, she's like, Juan, so how are you doing? How's everything with you? You know, I hope everything is well. She was wishing me well. I'm helping people. And there's a lineup of people that I'm supposed to be helping. And I'm telling them to go into the light. There was one lady, she comes over to me and she gives me a kiss on the cheek and she says, are you joining us? And then I say to her, I go, no. I go, it's not my time yet. And then I'm helping them and I'm directing them to go into the light. And I say to them, I go, if you go there, if you go into that light, all your answers or all your questions will be answered. So all throughout this, I could see Autumn. I could see Autumn going in and out of the line. Like she was confused. So she didn't want to go into the line, and then she was getting out of the line and going back into the line. And then eventually she got out of the line. And then all of a sudden I just returned to my physical body, and that was that. So I was just floored by this experience. I'm like, wow. I'm thinking, you know, I'm like, wow. It left me speechless.